A man who weaponizes incompetence makes one predictable, fatal error. He assumes his partner's competence is purely for his service. My husband believes his forgotten mortgage payment will force me to sell the business I built. He's about to receive an unscheduled masterclass on the function of an escrow account. But this isn't a story about my emotional distress. This is a forensic audit of a lie. For 25 years, I have untangled the fraudulent books of powerful men. My husband's amateur manipulations are an insult to the art of deception. His first move will be a panicked phone call filled with feigned despair. Let me show you how to dismantle that performance with a single 2-word text message that will trigger a total system crash. Now, let's open the case file. The subject, my husband of 25 years, Victor. The psychological pattern we will be analyzing today is weaponized incompetence. It is critical to understand that this behavior is not about forgetfulness. It is not about a charming absent-mindedness. It is a sophisticated, albeit cowardly, strategy of control. The user deploys chaos and manufactures crises to achieve a specific outcome, to maintain their position of comfort while forcing their partner into a role of perpetual management. The incompetent partner remains the visionary, the big picture thinker, while the competent partner is bogged down in the dreary work of cleaning up the messes. It is a slow, corrosive erosion of respect. My husband has perfected this. For 2 decades, our financial life has been a series of his oops moments. The time he forgot to pay the car insurance, only remembering the day before it lapsed, forcing me to spend hours on the phone negotiating a renewal without a penalty. Or the time he misplaced the property tax bill, which I later found, predictably, in his desk drawer under a stack of magazines. Each time, he performs the same script: feigned panic, profound self-recrimination, and finally, immense gratitude for my ability to handle the details. And each time, I would step in. I would fix it. I would absorb the stress, manage the logistics, and restore order. I saw it as a partnership. He saw it as a functional, repeatable system. The most telling data point prior to the current crisis occurred last year. Victor announced he wanted to invest in a once-in-a-lifetime tech startup run by a college friend, a surefire thing, he claimed. I did my due diligence. A 5-minute search revealed that company had no product, no patents, and its CEO had 2 previous bankruptcies. I presented Victor with a concise 1-page report detailing these facts. I explained that it was a catastrophic investment. He listened, nodded, and appeared to agree. He said I was right, that he was too impulsive, and that he was lucky to have me to provide a logical backstop. 2 weeks later, I discovered a $40,000 transfer from our joint savings account. When I confronted him, his performance was masterful. He was shattered, devastated. He confessed he had already verbally committed to his friend before we spoke and didn't know how to back out. He was too embarrassed to admit his mistake. It was a play for my sympathy, and like a fool, I fell for it. The money was gone. His friend's company folded 6 months later. Victor declared it a valuable lesson and praised me for being so understanding. He never repaid the money. He never again mentioned the $40,000. That was his most audacious test of the system. He learned that he could set fire to a significant portion of our assets and face no consequences beyond a brief performative apology. The lesson I should have learned then, and the lesson I am applying now, is that such a system cannot be negotiated with. It cannot be improved through discussion. It can only be dismantled completely.
The current crisis, the forgotten mortgage payment, is simply a larger-scale deployment of the same tactic. He saw the success of my independent business, a consulting firm I built from nothing, and felt his control slipping. So he engineered a larger crisis, a foreclosure. A threat so significant it would force me to liquidate my primary source of independence to save the family he was deliberately putting at risk. He assumes I will follow the old protocol. He assumes my competence exists to serve his manufactured chaos. This time, however, the system has been patched. The opportunity, as they say, has been closed. What he perceives as his greatest strategic move is, in fact, the beginning of his own financial irrelevance. The operation has already begun.
His next move is predictable because his psychology is simple. Once the manufactured crisis is established, the operative of weaponized incompetence will initiate what I call the desperate appeal protocol. He will not present a solution, he will present an emotion. The goal is to make the partner feel like the sole indispensable savior. This tactic shifts the focus away from his failure and onto her capacity to fix it. He needs me to feel responsible. My countermove, therefore, must be to reject ownership of the crisis, not with anger, but with cold, irrefutable logic. 3 days ago, anticipating his move, I downloaded the complete mortgage payment history for our home. The statement clearly shows 24 years of on-time payments, all drawn from a joint account. But crucially, it also shows that for the past 5 years, every single one of those transfers was personally initiated by me from my laptop using my login credentials. He hadn't actually paid the mortgage in half a decade. He had simply been a passenger. This morning, at exactly 9:01 a.m., I sent a single encrypted PDF of this payment history to his personal email. The subject line was one word: records. And as predicted, here comes the appeal. My phone is vibrating, an incoming call from Victor. I will answer, but I will not speak first. That is critical. The one who speaks first concedes control. Yes. I'm listening. A clerical error. Victor, a clerical error is transposing 2 digits. Forgetting to pay a mortgage for 2 consecutive months is a structural failure. You were overwhelmed with the startup. The same startup I advised you against, which lost $40,000 of our money? That one. No, I don't sound compassionate. I sound precise. There's a difference. The bank is threatening foreclosure, yes. I have the same letters you do. It's a dire situation you've created. What am I going to do about it? That's an interesting question. I've already done it. I just sent you the records. Yes, you are correct. I have been paying it. For 60 consecutive months. I'm glad you finally noticed. You should check your email more often. What do you mean, what now? The mortgage is due. It seems you have a personal financial problem to solve. My business, as you know, is solvent and separate. He is processing. The system has encountered an unexpected variable, my refusal to accept the burden. He expected tears, panic, a flurry of activity on my part. He received data. This will force his next, more desperate move, the deployment of a third party. He will now triangulate. He cannot appeal to my logic, so he will attempt to appeal to my emotions through a proxy, his mother.
This is the concerned matriarch gambit. His mother will call, not with accusations, but with worry. She will speak of Victor's distress, his sleepless nights, his fragile state. The goal is to activate my guilt, to reframe my logical boundary as cruelty. The countermove to this is preemption. You must inoculate the third party with the truth before they can be armed with the lie. An hour ago, I had a lovely conversation with my mother-in-law. I called her just to check in. I calmly explained that Victor was going through a period of financial difficulty due to some oversights at work, but that I was confident he would handle it like the capable man he is. I framed it as a growth opportunity for him. I assured her that my business was stable and that I was giving him the space to take the lead on this personal challenge. I painted a picture not of a crisis, but of a husband's journey toward self-reliance. I used her own values, strength, male responsibility, against her. And here she is, Valentina, right on schedule. Let's listen to the results of our preemptive strike. Valentina, I was just thinking of you. How are you? He called you. Oh, dear. Is he all right? He sounded so stressed when we spoke. Oh, he's just being dramatic. You know how he gets. A small work issue and he thinks the world is ending. He what? He said I'm not helping him? Valentina, of course I'm helping him. I'm giving him the gift of agency. It wouldn't be right for me to swoop in and solve this for him. He's the man of the house. He needs to feel that he can handle these things himself. Don't you agree? Exactly, that's what I thought you'd say. You raised such a strong, capable son. The last thing I want to do is undermine his confidence by treating him like a child. Oh, absolutely not. My business funds are completely separate. This is his mountain to climb, and I have complete faith in him. You'll talk to him. Wonderful. Tell him I'm proud of him for facing this challenge head on. The triangulation has failed. I have reframed my boundary as an act of empowerment. I have co-opted his own mother to enforce it. He is now isolated, his two primary emotional weapons neutralized. He has no moves left within the established system. This means he will now abandon the system entirely and resort to a scorched earth emotional tantrum. That too is predictable. And I am ready.
The final stage of weaponized incompetence, when all other strategies have failed, is the scorched earth protocol. The user, stripped of his ability to manipulate through feigned crisis or emotional triangulation, will abandon all pretense of reason. The goal is no longer to elicit help, it is to inflict maximum emotional damage. He will attack the very competence that he once relied upon, attempting to reframe it as a character flaw. My strength becomes coldness. My independence becomes a betrayal of the family unit. My financial prudence becomes a selfish hoarding of resources. It is the last, desperate act of a failed system trying to pull its environment down with it. I received the email 30 minutes ago. The subject line, "What you've done." It is not a discussion, it is a manifesto of perceived victimhood. It is also the final piece of evidence I required. Let me read you a few key excerpts. He writes, "I never knew I was married to such a cold, calculating machine. While I was building a dream for us, you were building an escape route." A curious choice of words. What he calls a dream, my financial records call a consistent 5-figure annual deficit. What he calls my escape route, my lawyer calls a legally incorporated and entirely separate business entity. The words are chosen for emotional impact, not factual accuracy.
He continues, "You talk about partnership, but you let me fail. You stood by and watched me struggle, hoarding your success like a dragon on a pile of gold. A real partner would have helped, would have seen my distress and rushed to my side, but you just sent spreadsheets." This is the core of his argument. He is confirming in writing that his definition of partnership is my unconditional financial bailout of his self-inflicted failures. He is admitting that he'd use my assets not as mine, but as a shared resource he is entitled to in a crisis. This admission is, legally speaking, a gift. And the final paragraph, the one that seals his fate. "My mother was right about you from the start. She saw that you didn't have a family heart. You could have your business, your independence, your precious, perfect records. I hope they keep you warm at night. You've destroyed what we had for the sake of being right." He believes this is a wounding emotional statement. In reality, it is a signed confession. He is stating unequivocally that the price of our marriage was my acceptance of his financial recklessness and his mother's emotional intrusions. He has just defined the terms of our relationship in a way that is utterly indefensible. When a liar's system is fully cornered, it has only one protocol left: self-destruction. This email is not an attack. It is a system log of a total crash. He has provided a time-stamped, written record of his manipulative mindset, his sense of financial entitlement, and his emotional blackmail. He has, in effect, written my entire legal argument for me. The temptation, for many, would be to respond to this email, to argue the points, to defend one's character, to engage in the emotional battle he craves. This is always a mistake. Never argue with a malfunctioning machine. Your objective is not to win the argument. It is to document the error. My reply was sent 1 minute after I received his email. It contained no emotional language. It was not a rebuttal. It was a single attachment. The PDF was a copy of his email forwarded to my divorce attorney with Victor himself carbon copied. The body of my message contained only 7 words. "Thank you for clarifying your position." The system has now been fully dismantled. The crisis he manufactured to trap me instead granted me my freedom. He weaponized incompetence, but forgot the most important rule of any conflict: know your opponent. And he never really knew me at all. He only knew the role he expected me to play. In the comments, tell me, what is the most predictable lie an incompetent man tells?